episode number 8 of Pest Control Millionaire. Today our guest is Josh Demers. He's from Spokane, Washington. He is a CEO of Pacific Lawn Maintenance. And Josh is an absolute stud. He's a heck of a business guy. He likes to swear a lot, so this is going to be fun. Great guy, good friend of mine. He runs a killer business. I've been there. Been to his old shop. Haven't been to his new shop because he just got it a month ago. Not even?
Yeah, just about that. Yep.
Cool. Well, congrats, man, and welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here.
So first off, let's just kind of take us back to when and how all this got started from like Josh from grassroots, day one. How'd you get into business?
Yeah, I feel like I've got a pretty similar story to a lot of you guys. That's why I do an academy with you guys and just all the people I've met along these last several years. I just feel like I share so much in common with you guys, but I never had a real job before. I think I worked at the mall for a couple shifts before I got let go from working at a clothing store. But I started mowing lawns, and when I was in 7th grade, to be honest, just kind of started doing the neighbors' yards and that kind of thing. And by the time I was, working my way through junior high and high school, I just kind of kept adding yards to the route. And, I joke around with a lot of people. It's, when you're 13 years old and you're making $400 or $500, a month or whatever. I mean, a week for that matter, I guess, as I started adding clients to the list here. I mean, it was like, hey, this isn't so bad. I remember in high school, I had a, $40,000 brand new truck. It was like I could afford a $300 truck payment. Like that was a few yards to mow. So, anyways, I enjoyed, the mowing. I actually always have enjoyed mowing, outdoor work, that kind of thing. Even when I was super young, I would, crawl up underneath the lawnmower and try to push it around. So. I think I started out really young, and I really all the way through high school and whatnot, I always figured I'd end up with a real job someday. And everyone always told me, you'll never amount to anything by cutting grass. You got to be a landscaper. You got to do this. Everyone wants to throw in their 2 cents as they're getting dressed to head to their desk job for $40,000 a year. They're always the first ones to dish out the advice. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, hey, I think I can do something with this. I think by the time maybe I started, getting towards the end of my high school days is when I'm like, hey, maybe there is something here. Maybe I can kind of power through this, and still figured maybe I'd end up getting a real job at some point. But fast forward, kind of where we are now, we're about a $2 million business or so. Have roughly 30 employees when we're firing on all cylinders. I'm in a very seasonal climate, so we get all 4 seasons here. I think you do as well, Jonas. But we're one of those markets where we've got 100-degree days in the summer, and right now it's like 14 degrees, and we've got a bunch of snow on the way. So the seasonality definitely presents challenges, but I think as I started the company officially in 2006 was the year I graduated high school, and that was when I kind of put everything on the books. And it just, every year we get a little bit better. We are getting better at, saving for the busy times and saving for the low times. If you drew our revenue on a map, it's just a big roller coaster. We have our awesome months and we have our low months, but I think probably one of the favorite parts of the business for me is the finance part of it. I'm very much a numbers guy. I get going by staring at spreadsheets and things like that. So just being able to project our cash flows and our busy times, our slow times, what that looks like. And as we grow, right now we have a staff of 10. With absolutely nothing going on. We're all working on equipment and cleaning shops and, that kind of thing. So, as we grow, I value good people that want to hang with our organization. I think a lot of people in this industry want to start over every year, go ski all winter and hire a whole new staff every April. And we've been there, we've done that. And it's just no way to grow a healthy business. So I think really my focus on the business at this point is the people, not even really the customers. I'm very far from customer interactions, that kind of thing. But if I can show up to work every day and build a team, that's what gets me excited at this point in my business now.
Yeah, you're more focused on your internal customers, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, with your dips in revenue over the winter, because I'm sure lots of people have the same problem that are going to be listening to this with the maintenance side and any industry specific. But did you ever do snow?
Yeah, we do snow right now, and I always approach this question with caution because we do snow, but we do a very small amount of it. I mean, we have close to 20 trucks when we're in our operation season, and that includes some manager take homes and that kind of stuff. So we're not rolling 20 mow trucks every day or whatnot, but we do 4 to 5 trucks doing snow right now, and a couple of reasons. For me, I just don't get excited about snow removal. The risk and the uncertainty and I'm sure you've heard, Jonas, all the people we work with that are getting sued every year over slips and falls. And there's some people that you and I are both very close with that do millions of dollars worth of snow removal. But I also talk to a lot of people that are getting out of snow removal, and so for me at this point in my business now, we're doing snow, but I mean, dang it will be lucky to do $50,000-$80,000 in snow this winter, and that might be a very high number. I mean, that's if it snows. And another part of it for us that's been, as me mentioning a few minutes ago that I'm a numbers guy. We really don't, call it global warming, call it what you want to call it. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but we really just don't get a lot of snow anymore. I mean, we get an inch here, we get an inch there. And a lot of times in our winter months, call it like November through, March or so, we'll go 6, 8, 10 weeks with nothing, so to build a business with plows and sanders and de-icer and to staff it, to pay a staff, to find out that it snows twice in a winter, which has been the case the last several winters. It just is not a good business model for us.
For sure. Do you stick to mostly residential for snow plowing then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So we don't even own a plow. We are all fully residential. I joke around. Mrs. Jones' driveway, Grandma's driveway. We're doing a lot of sidewalks, shoveling out a single, double, triple stall garage. A lot of people call when the plow goes by and puts a big berm at the end of their driveway. So that's something for us. But yeah, we do not own a plow, and I'm happy to say that it's just not something I get excited about at all.
Nope, it's super sharp, that model. And then are they set up on a per event? Or are they set on a per year agreement? How do you guys work it over there?
Yep. So we do flat rate pricing per event. So I know there's a million different ways to do it, and I'm never going to say we figured out the perfect solution. But our threshold is 1.25 inches. So anytime we get 1.25 inches, which to be honest is a lot of our storms, between 1 inch and 2, we'll rally the troops and head out. And so really, that it makes sense. But where we make our money is in that, 1 to 3 inch range. If we get 6 inches, that's when it gets a little, it definitely gets a little bit, not as profitable. It gets to be quite a bit more work, especially if 6 inches of snow is followed up by 35-degree weather the next day. That happens all the time well. But really our money maker is that, couple of inch, that light dry snow where we can run a route with 4 or 5 trucks and everybody's back to the shop within, 5 or 6 hours. Just one man snow trucks, by the way. So they're just going out with little snow blowers, shovels, that kind of thing. And it's one man crew between 4 to 5 guys, 4 to 5 trucks.
Nice. So do you guys just do snow? Did you guys try to make money throughout the winter, or do you guys just trying to break even?
Yeah, I'll be honest in saying, with where we're at in our market, with the way that my business is structured, we lose quite a bit of money in the winter time.
Yeah.
But, it once again kind of coming back to that revenue roller coaster that I was describing earlier. We have months, where we're making great profits, and then we have months where we're not making a profit and losing. So it's definitely a cash flow game for us, but we know every year as we head into November through February that the business loses some money, and then we get right back at it in March and start building those reserves back up. So there's a million different things with Christmas lights and snow removal and all these different topics, but you being someone, Jonas, that I highly respect with what you've done in the last couple of years, especially, it's like there's a lot of ways to grow and build a big profitable business without getting into the weeds of all these services that you don't want to get into. I mean, you're somebody that's taken that and ran for sure, and it's great to be on a call with you.
So one of my things that I have written down for you is not a lot of people can run an efficient mowing company. They can't make a lot of money doing it. But there's one guy that can make a ton of money doing mowing is you. And you've been super profitable the last few years that I've known you. You've done some major things. And most people can't do that. What do you do different than most companies don't do? Is it route density? Is it the truck setups? Is it your pricing? Is it all of the above? I know some of the backstory of like getting out of some services, and we can talk about that. But I mean, kind of tell us your method of how you're printing so much money out of this thing.
I think you just touched on pricing, man. It's me coming back to saying that I'm a numbers guy. The couple of changes that we made for 2022 that were just absolutely huge for us was just knowing what our costs were, what we were doing, and making sure that we were charging accordingly. And so at the beginning of 2022, we went really kind of, similar story to a lot of people you probably talked to on calls or on your podcast here, but we really kind of scaled the business back. I mean, I say scaled back, we had a record revenue year, but we really kind of scale back our service offerings and just kind of said we're not making money on enhancements. And I should rewind, we're making money, but the amount of effort and headache that goes into $1,000 prune job or $1,000 mulch job, it was like from the lead coming in to rolling a truck for the estimate. We get back to the shop, we build the estimate, we send the estimate, we follow up with the client, we schedule the work. The team calls in sick that day, we reschedule the work, we go complete the work, the customer calls back the next day, we resend the truck for a note. It was like the amount of BS that went into a $500 or $1,000 job. So anyways, last year we just really kind of simplified the business, and we said we're going to mow lawns and we're going to spray lawns. And we also made the choice to require clients that we mowed for to buy spray from us. And I think as you know better than anybody, the industry really started trudging towards spraying only. Everybody wanted to spray. So finding somebody that could mow was, we were a unicorn company in our market.
Yep.
We can mow and we can spray. So anyways, to answer your original question, it came down to knowing our numbers. It came down to high dollar price increases. And I hate to say that we're competitive. We take great care of our clients, but the days of $30 under the mat for mowing your lawn, those days are over. If you hire a cleaning company to come clean your house, they charge $150 and it's one person that shows up with a vacuum and a mop and they're there for an hour, and I just always hated that part of our industry where we are expected to show up with a crew and a truck and and do it for $25, So We raise prices. We require clients to buy profitable services from us, cards on file, weekly charging, all the stuff that we all talk about all the time. And it worked for us. It absolutely worked for us. And as you guys, as we all know, on this call, the mowing is the gateway drug. That's what gets the client in the door, and then requiring them to buy spray. It was just something that really changed the game for us.
Yeah, so you use mowing as like a loss leader, but you
Yeah.
also make them choose two services. So if someone just want to call in and do mowing only, you just tell them no. You have to have this additional service, whether it's fertilization, weed control, or pest control, or whatever that other service may be. You required your client to choose a second service.
Absolutely, man, and absolutely. And what we would get all the time last year that was funny is we would get people that we would say, hey, you have to, buy a spray package from us or whatever. And some people, no, thank you. Some people get pissed off. Well, this is bullshit. I just want my yard mowed. And, we would get all kinds of stuff from time to time. And then we would find that client call us back an hour later. And yeah, that sounds pretty good. 4 applications and mowing, and you can be here on 2. It was just that happened all the time, simply because the market changed so much. In my market, at least, it was like, for one, nobody wants to mow anymore, and for two, people found out we're competitive, we're reputable, we're highly rated. We're not asking for $1 million. We're asking, if you want us to mow your yard on a weekly basis, that we can do your lawn treatments or do your pest control, or I think people just kind of realized that that for one, they weren't going to get it anywhere else, and for two, that it really we weren't asking for a whole lot, and for us as a business, those small changes were huge for us. It made a huge difference, and we were able to cancel out a lot of the stuff we didn't want. I mean, the amount of effort and time and energy that we saved this year by not dealing with all the enhancement, we call it in our industry, obviously, with, the bush trimming, the mulch, the weed, all those things, canceling all that noise out. It made the business so much more simplified, more profitable, better for the team, better on the recruiting front. It just really, I'm a firm believer in simplifying your business to grow it. That's a huge thing that I think is very important.
For sure, I can second that. I agree with you. To really think of the services that make you the most money, the most return on your investment, and same thing with your employees. What's easier on your employees?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Where can that employee generate the most revenue? Where can that employee be the most efficient? Right. And I agree with you. Like, get rid of the enhancements, get rid of the mulching, and just simplifying it, and get laser focused on a few services, and that's how you scale things. But if you're trying to be everything to everyone, it's doable, but it's way harder. Which we know some people that are multi-million-dollar landscape companies too, and you hear that from all the time how much they hate it. But it does work. It's just a lot more effort. And so I was in the mindset of like, yeah, if I same thing with you, Josh, like I just scale this thing back, focus on these services and just run with it. It's definitely the way to go. So you said you changed that, you increased your pricing. As far as like your customers goes, like how far from your office do you travel?
Oh man, I want to say we travel probably 15, maybe 20 miles, but I would say the bulk of our clients are in probably that 10-mile, maybe 15-mile. And more notable, I guess, on that is we do have, we're coming back to maybe that 15, 20-mile radius. We do have that, but what my team is very good at is route density.
Yeah.
So, and this was another big change that we made last year. That was a huge part of the profitability of the business, but was really kind of, say you take like Monday through Friday and just really kind of using our CRM service autopilot to kind of color code each route and each truck and just make sure that we were laser focused on efficiencies and route density for each day of the week. And I think what happened in prior years was we would have good clients that, everyone wants their yard mowed on Friday. That's
Yeah.
what every time the phone rings, can you mow it on Friday? And so what we would do all the time is we would find ourselves in these cycles where we were, it was a top dollar client, or it was a client that had with us for 10 years, or whatever the case may be. But then we started building routes around customers that were, squawking about what day they wanted to be mowed on. They can't have us on Wednesday because their pool guy comes on Wednesday. No problem. We'll come on Thursdays. We started doing a lot of that. And then it was like before too long, we were just running around with our heads cut off all over town. And, we'd be sending a truck, 45 minutes out of the way for a $40 mow job with two guys in the truck. And so anyways, that was another big part of, last year for us, was just really kind of doing like quadrants, if you will, on a map of our city, and just really getting dialed in on where we're at, what day we're at. And if a client calls and, they entertain on the weekends, that's what we hear from everybody. If you need us on Fridays, we're not a good fit. I think, a lot of what I'm saying last year is we took the opportunity to be the experts. We took the opportunity to just kind of say, here's what we do, here's what we offer, here's when we can be there, here's how much it costs. If this works for you, great. If it doesn't, thank you anyways. And obviously we can word it nicely, but same with having, like a credit card on file. How many people, I don't use credit cards, I only have a checkbook. But no problem, Mrs. Jones, that's we're just not a good fit for you then.
Yeah. So what I hear is just learning how to say no.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's
And
a
sometimes
perfect way
that's
to
the
put it.
hardest thing, because people just get these calls and they just want to do the work. And the next thing you know, like you
Yeah.
said, they're traveling 20 miles away to go do a $40 mow on a Friday.
Yep, and we've been there, man, and way too often, I think maybe in my earlier days of the business, the customer's always right, kind of that mindset that you'll do anything to acquire a client. I've been there, I'm sure you've been there, but I think as you start growing a business, as you start scaling your business, you really have to get laser focused on being the best that you can be. And if the client, if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit.
Yep. So how long have you actually been in business for then? Like 20 plus years?
Well, I started the business in 2006. So yeah, what would that be? I mean, coming up on 20 years here. So yeah, about what, 16 years or so. So
That's
I mean,
awesome. It's really cool.
it feels awesome. I mean, I beat myself up sometimes when I talk to guys that started a business. You're one of them, Jonas, started a business a few years ago, and, are just growing a million miles an hour, but we've had slow and steady growth, and we've always had very profitable, healthy growth. So
Yeah.
I think I'm one of the few people that you'll talk to that we're not trying to, grow to 10 million next year and, go crazy. I think we just want to be one of those businesses that grows at a very healthy pace, has a really good culture, a really good team. And it just does quality work, profitable work, and takes care of the team as much as we do the customer. I'm not looking for anything super flashy growth wise. Maybe that'll come naturally, but I think as we grow a little bit each year, and then I say a little bit, I mean, we've grown substantially the last several years, but I don't have any super crazy growth goals year over year. I think to me, if we're profitable and our team is growing, that to me is a win for sure.
Yep, I agree with you. You have to be profitable, otherwise
Yep.
there's no way to scale. You can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you started mowing, but at what point in your career did you first get out of the truck?
I got out of the truck in 2012. So I was in the truck from, like I said, started the business '06 officially, kind of right out of high school. Obviously I had been doing some mowing, like I said earlier, but officially business license, the whole shebang, '06. I mowed until 2010. So I was in the truck every day grinding out. In fact, the first couple of years I was by myself.
Yep.
I mean, I can remember pulling up to, triple and quadruple stop, where I had 4 neighbors in a row and I'm hopping out of the truck. I still remember doing those. But yeah, I did that from '06 to 2010, mowing. I think we made it up to like, man, a couple crews or so. I mean, I think at maybe 2009, we probably had 3 crews. I was hopping in one truck, and then we'd have a couple other trucks going out each morning. 2010, I got my spray licenses, so we started doing fertilized weed control and pest control. I did do pest control kind of right out of the gate. I think I was charging $30, but it was one of those things was like, hey, if I'm spraying, why not? You want a spider berry or two, So started doing that, and I did that for 2 years, and then I was able to pass the gun, so to speak, to somebody that was with me till recently, a general manager that was with me up until very recent here. And he kind of took over the spray side. And then that was when I was able to really kind of hop behind the computer screen 2012 on and really kind of, I'd be lying if I said I was working on the business every day in 2012. I was doing the estimating and I was doing the scheduling and the billing and so but allowed me to do all that because up until that point, I was in the truck spraying or mowing while I'm selling on, with the phone in my ear and in the other ear I'm putting out a fire. I was kind of doing it all from the driver's seat. So once I came into the office in 12 and I was just working from home, we had a little storage unit that we were running out of. I had probably 10 guys or whatever. And it was a huge part of the business. I was like, hey man, I can sell now. I can everybody that wants an estimate, I can answer some calls and I can be out there the same day. So I think that was when the business really kind of started to take off even more when I could really just focus on answering phones and getting back to people, getting bills in the mail, getting checks in the bank, all that kind of stuff. And then from there, here we are, 2022, it's like I'm still doing a similar role, but now just kind of less involved in the operations and the sales and more kind of being able to work on the business and do things like this, further my education.
So what did you naturally just want to get out of the truck? Is it something that someone had to tell you to do?
I definitely wanted to. I mean, I always wanted, I knew that I could grow a big business, and I say big, when I got out of the truck, what is big? Big might have been $500,000. I knew that I could get more done if I was not behind the lawnmower all day. So I definitely had that drive and that vision to kind of take it to that next level. But I'll be honest in saying, and that's why I get along so great with so many of you guys is I had no roadmap. I had no plan. It was like I mowed and then I sprayed and then I got out of the truck and it was like, all right, now I can return voicemails. I mean, it was just kind of feeling my way through the dark, but I really enjoyed kind of, each level. It was something different and that was fun too. It was like every time I would kind of hit a certain threshold that my job would change a little bit. Maybe I could bring somebody, maybe someone could help me with the phones. Maybe somebody could help me get all the bills in the mail, that kind of thing. So just a little at a time. But once again, never did I have a road map. It was, let's try this and see if we can get some more clients.
There's no book that tells you what to do, right?
No.
But like I said, you got to appreciate the journey. Like you learned along the way. You learned everything about your business to where you're at now. What was the biggest turning point when you went from being in the truck, to being in the office, to being the leader of the company, the visionary, the CEO, like working on the business? What was the biggest turning point there?
I think, and that's something that's probably happened in the last handful of years, man. And I love that question because I think now my vision, what gets me out of bed every morning is my team. I show up to my office every day to work on building out my team, whether it's manager, whether it's someone in a leadership position, whether it's somebody, on the phones dealing with the clients. I am very, very uninvolved in my business on a day to day. I don't think I've logged into our our CRM program in years. And I joke around with a lot of you guys on that, but I don't have the first idea how to log in and look at the dispatch board,
Same.
So, someone told me years ago that I forget the saying here. So it's the owner takes care of the team takes care of the customer takes care of the business takes care of the owner. So it's kind of this flow chart that that really resonated with me. That if I can take care of my team can take care of the customer can take care of the business, and the business will take care of me. It's
For
like,
sure.
That's what drives me in the morning.
But then, who taught you how to do this stuff? Like, did you meet someone? Did you get into a group? Like, what does that look like?
Yep, all of the above. So yeah, I mean, meeting a lot of awesome people like yourself and getting into a group. A lot of you guys are familiar with the Service Autopilot Academy, and now there's a couple different groups that have kind of sprung out from there. I also have a private business coach that I work with in my local market. So yeah, absolutely, man. I'm not, if I'm being honest, I am not a huge reader. I enjoy some podcasts. I enjoy Audible and stuff like that, but I'm a very high energy person. I think that's been a big part of my success, but I just cannot, curl up on the couch and crack open a book. That's just not my thing. I wish it was. But with that being said, leadership coaching and peer groups and academies and coaching and all these different things, I'm very, very passionate about learning. And so yeah, to answer your question, anything I can do to obtain knowledge and a lot of times, one thing I will say I find it interesting is everybody's an expert on everything. And what I mean by that is everyone wants to give you their advice, and rather they've done it or they haven't, everybody's got a book, everybody's doing this or that, and so to me, at least what's worked for me is just hearing opinions and advice and stuff from a multitude of different people and industries and just kind of formulating your own ideas and plans and stuff. I think when you start talking and networking with a lot of people, you start hearing recurring themes of things that have worked and things that haven't. But you also get all kinds of, I don't want to say weirdos, but just people that want to just, give you their 2 cents. And it's like, all right, dude.
For sure.
So, but to me, the day I stop learning is the day I stop growing. So I always am trying to pick up little tidbits anywhere I can grow and get better at what I do. And every day that means a lot to me.
Yeah, the common theme that I hear from everyone is that their business started to change, and they started to change as an individual as soon as they got a mentor in a group of someone who's been there, done that, can help you through the problems because they've been through them already. They can get you out of the truck faster. They can get you revenue faster. Like, there's so many ways to learn from an individual. Like, so to me is the same thing. Like, my business changes, which as soon as I got my first mentor, and then the second mentor and third mentor. Now it feels like I have a bunch of coaches in all these different areas. Yep. So like yourself, I have coaches for almost everything. I have a life coach, I got a business coach, I got a coach at the gym, like personal trainer. Again, it's like every asset of my life, I have a coach because they're bigger than me, they're better than me. So I just learn from them. And I'll be honest, like probably the same as you back then, I couldn't afford it. Like I was like, man, I don't know if I could afford $1,000 a month. But at the same time, I can't afford not to, right? Yep. Looking back on it, it's like that $1,000 for one monthly coaching program probably made me a couple $1,000,000.
Yep, that's absolutely, man. And I like the way that you mentioned, a personal trainer and a life coach and all that, because I think all those things are important. Something that I'm very passionate about is working out and taking care of myself. And I think, there's a lot of people that I really look up to that say that, you gotta have a good marriage. You gotta have a good family life. You gotta take care of your body. You gotta eat healthy. You gotta study. You gotta learn, there's just a lot of different things. You're not going to sit down and listen to a podcast for 45 minutes and be a millionaire the next day. To me, it's kind of that overarching picture of a little bit of all those things kind of go into one bucket. So I really like the way that you mentioned that. It just, and I know for me personally, I was very involved in sports as a kid. I started playing hockey when I was 4 years old. I played hockey pretty much my whole youth, all the way through high school. Got into racing motocross. I'm a skier, those kinds of things. But I bring that up because I always had coaches, and I enjoyed being coached. I always enjoyed somebody that could say, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z, it'll make you a little bit faster. It'll make you a little stronger, and so bringing that over into my business life, I like being coached. I like having a mentor. I like having somebody that can say, hey, I see that you're doing this, and maybe if you do it a little different or, try this, you could experience a different outcome, So to me, being open to being coached and being open to learning and things like that, I think goes a long ways. You and I both know a lot of people that probably think that they've got it all figured out with their $200,000 lawn mowing business, and to me, kind of opening up your heart and your mind to being coached is a huge part of going to that next level.
Yeah, you have to have some humility in you, right? To say, okay, I don't know everything. Like, there's still a lot to learn. Like, I better ask. And you have to have that humility to go out and ask someone for help. Once you start asking questions, they say there's no such thing as a bad question, which I agree. But you have to start asking those questions. Otherwise, you'll never have the answers. And people that get stuck at 200,000, 250,000, like 500,000, they can't get past that. But then they think they have it all figured out, like you said, and they hate to ask. But there are those people like you and I that got stuck. We're like, man, we got to figure this thing out because I don't want to be stuck in this truck forever. And they jumped online or talked to someone and said, hey, maybe you should join this group or that group. And then next thing you know, your whole life's changing. So I agree. You just have to have somewhat of humility. So 2022, what services does Pacific Lawn Maintenance offer now?
So right now, I mean, it's let's call it December in a couple hours right now. So So we, this year we finished out, we're mowing, we're spraying. And when I say spraying, that is going to be our fertilized weed control, pest control, and then we call it vegetation management. I know lots of different terms, basically spraying landscape beds, gravel parking lots, that kind of thing. So that's our spray department. Bucket number 3, if you will, for us is irrigation. Snow removal, bucket number 3.5. So those are kind of our services. Once again, mowing, spraying, irrigation, snow removal. As we head to 2023, man, and I'm excited to turn this podcast on a year from now and see where I'm at. I'm pretty mixed on irrigation. I just am. We're okay at it. I'm not going to say we're bad at it. I will definitely not say we're good at it. But it's a department right now in my business that does the least amount of revenue and has the most headache and is the hardest to staff. We take good care of our team. So we have a good mowing department. We have good employees. A lot of them have been with us for a long time. So I don't feel like we struggle a lot in mowing. I know that's why everybody got out of it, was they couldn't find the labor. We have done pretty well with that. Spraying, same thing. Great equipment, great guys. Really not struggling too much in that department. Irrigation is its own animal. It's very hard to find good techs. When you do find them, they want $1 million. And they wanna run the show too. They know what they've got. I don't know if my market's any different than anybody that might be listening to this in the future. But irrigation is just one of those kind of unicorn techs or positions. It has been for us. So to answer your question, that's what we did for 2022. And I'm very energized to say that it's almost December right now. The next couple of months with my team are going to be spent sitting around a conference table and really kind of figuring out what does next year look like. We will definitely mow. We will definitely spray. We'll keep our small snow removal side of things going. I mean, that's a very small part of revenue for us. Irrigation, What my gut tells me is that we'll keep irrigation going in the commercial world for us, which is probably 15% of our annual revenue, and then maybe really kind of weed out a lot of the Mrs. Jones has a broken head, or blowouts. We do hundreds of blowouts. I think we did probably 700 blowouts this year, and it's just way too much headache for what it's worth, to be honest. I mean, it's worth a lot of revenue in October, but it's worth a lot of headache and problems and employees and scheduling and customers and billing and AI, and the list goes on. And it's like, is this worth it? And then I always come back to what you're doing, Jonas. I mean, you're growing and scaling a huge business with a couple of services, and so that's why when anybody tells me, hey, you can't grow a big business if you keep getting rid of all these services, it's like, tell that to True Green or tell that to Turf Badger, companies. You guys are taking it to the moon with a few services, and to me that really means a lot. I mean, if I look back to just a couple of years ago to where we're probably heading in 2023, it's like we're just shaving and dropping services like they're going out of style. But it's, as I think about the business being laser focused and profitable and easy to scale and that kind of thing, it's not with a bunch of services. It's really kind of weeding through a couple of things and getting awesome at those services, selling them, servicing them, billing them, everything in between, marketing them.
A little while ago, you mentioned Christmas lights. Do you guys do Christmas lights at all?
We do not, man. And I won't say anything bad about Christmas lights. I just simply don't know Christmas lights.
Yeah, you'd mentioned it, so I figured I would ask. So you offer like 4 or 5 services now. At what point did you hire that operations manager?
I would say revenue-wise, probably $1 million. I mean, I think it's been several years ago now, but we really saw that need at about 800 to $1 million in revenue, where it's like, hey, this is a lot, with the scheduling, the crews, the routes, the monkey wrench, we call them, the crew that's broke down on the side of the road with needs a spare tire right away, that we call that the monkey wrench guy. Just somebody that can really kind of be that, really the operations of a business like ours, man. Maybe yours is a little different, but the operations is what it is. It's a service business. The operations, you've got billing, you've got sales, you've got these little buckets, but the operations is the bread and butter of the business, So yeah, we brought that person on at about that 800 to $1 million. And, as we head for 2.5, 3 next year, do we need another one? That's also something I don't want to say another one, but do we need, I guess what my question is what is like an operations manager? What's their capacity? At what point do they need somebody? A mechanic. That's another big chalkboard item in my office right now, is we don't have a full-time mechanic, somebody that can wrench on equipment and fix a truck that needs a starter and pop a new battery in a ride-on mower and put a carburetor on a weed whacker. A lot of it's pretty simplistic stuff, but at the size that we're at and where we're headed, that's another position that's going to be difficult to fill. But I think that's a very critical hire as we kind of look at where we're at and where we're going.
For sure. So where did you find your operation manager? Is it something that you had from the beginning that kind of grew up within the company, or did you hire that position out from a different industry?
We've had a couple over the last few years, and yes, it has been people that have kind of climbed the ladder within the organization. One of the gentlemen that we had doing it climbed the ladder from mow guy with no driver's license all the way up to operations manager. And then the gentleman that's currently in the position, he came to us from another company that he had been at, lawn care industry, I should say, had been there for many years. Similar with my organization, was able to kind of climb the ladder within my organization and then move into that operations manager role. So I think it can go either way. I mean, I think there's a lot of value in having somebody grow with your organization because they know the ins and outs of the business. But I also, coming back to the education piece we were just talking about, I've heard a lot of people say that it's better to kind of look outside your four walls and bring somebody in that can, and have they been in the green industry? I don't know, but I've heard people say kind of both sides of the coin on whether that should be somebody coming through the ranks at your organization or somebody that comes out externally. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that's kind of what's worked for us.
I think both ways too, within the ranks. But I do kind of like having outside perspective on things. So they might come from a totally different industry that just does things a little bit different. Maybe they've been in a bigger company. Maybe they've been $15-20 million company. Maybe they ran a $50 million P&L, and pulling those guys in that have seen more things, I think is probably a smart move. Again, it just brings outside perspective. So I knew this girl when I was younger, and her dad had a big insurance company. And when she graduated high school or college, he didn't let her come work at the firm. He made her go work somewhere else for 4 years at a different company. It was like their biggest competitor. And then after those 4 years, he had her come back, and now she runs the company. So I was like, man, I always remembered that. Like, man, that's just, it's so smart. Like, yeah, you could give it to your daughter right away, right? But having that outside perspective of the way a different, bigger company runs things to bring it in might not change everything in your company, but just few tweaks here and there that could really, really move the company forward. So again, I'm either way, I'm good, but that's my perspective on things.
Yep, and I love that, man. I totally agree with you. And somebody that rises through the ranks, they're going to know
How your
business.
company operates. Yep.
Yep, they're going to know it up and down. But exactly like you said, having somebody that brings in knowledge that hasn't been within your organization is huge for sure. And we've experienced that with some other positions with my organization, more kind of like on the sales sides of things, or we brought some people in from larger competitors of ours on the sales side, and it's been a game changer for us. I mean, from building matrix to upsells and all these different things. It's like, sweet, let's pull up a table and chair and let's chat, and it's been huge for us. So yeah, I do like getting a different perspective as well.
So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So you're hydro operations manager. You said you probably felt the need around 700,000-800,000, but then kind of push off to a million. Did he start in the middle of winter when you onboarded him, or did he come right away in springtime? Do you remember?
Boy, that's a good question because it's been a while now. But I want to say, I mean, I can't remember if I'm being honest with you. But I would, if I was gonna dish out advice, I would say that it would be in an off season. I don't see any way that you'd want to hire that type of a position. And for us, April, May, when it's sheer chaos, I think that would be a mistake, to be honest.
But how much did that one hire take off your shoulders? Like how much the workload?
Absolutely tremendous. And like I had mentioned a few minutes ago, are we ready for a 2.0, or as if you and I are saying, hey, that person is at 700 to $1 million, what does it look like from 2 million to 3 million and 4 million? Do you need 4 ops managers? I mean, I know that's not the technical term, but that's kind of where we're at right now is, I don't know if you have an opinion on like how much business or how much revenue you think one manager can handle, but that's a pain point for us at this point is as we've grown, it's like at what point is one person overloaded, if that makes sense here.
And so I would say that one person can typically guide or be in charge of 5 to 7 people. So if you have 7 crews, mowing crews or FERC crews or whatever, that operations can probably and be solid at it between 5 and 7 people. So if you have 10, 15 crews, you probably need that other person that's maybe his assistant, or maybe you hire a COO role where he's more over the operations as a whole, and then your operations manager now just runs like training and equipment and things like that.
Cool. No, and that's awesome because that's kind of I think where we're at right now is I care so much about my team and the culture, and that's got us to where we're at. But I don't want people being overloaded, and so when you say what 5 to 7 trucks, we're running mostly 2 guys in a truck. So
but
I
if
mean
you just have, but if you have one crew leader
exactly.
that
So I
deals
know
with the
we're on the same
operations
page with
manager,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
absolutely.
if you have one crew leader and another helper in the truck or whatever, you just have the crew leader that's underneath the operations
Yep,
manager. So if you have
yep,
7 crews, he's probably maxed out at 7 to do a really efficient job.
yep. I agree, man. Yeah, most definitely.
And then, so you brought up culture a couple times, and so let's hit on that. You just got a new shop a month ago. I've
Yep,
seen pictures from the outside. It looks super sick. I see your office. Congratulations.
makes me happy.
I've physically been to your old shop, and it was tight quarters, but man, you did a lot of work out of that thing.
Yeah, it
And
was good to
so,
us. Yeah.
so when you talk about culture, how much has the new shop impacted the culture?
So I won't answer that because we've only been here for a month and I've been gone for 3 weeks of that. But what I will say, man, and I'm joking, I say this with a huge smile, is it absolutely is gonna up our game so much. We're in a really, really nice shop, and I say that humbly because it's big, it's expensive, it's bougie, it's everything in
Hell yeah.
between. And I pinch myself every morning when I get here and we've got our big neon lights with our logo. I mean, it's the
It's sick.
real deal, man.
Yeah.
So I feel extremely blessed, and I just know because the culture is my department. As I kind of mentioned earlier, I take care of the team takes care of the
Hmm.
customer, so on and so forth. Is I just know having a state of the art facility, from everything from cleanliness to interviewing. I still do the interviewing, and that's something I enjoy doing. You've been to my old shop, and before that we were in a storage unit, and I know a lot of big businesses that have run out of small operations or storage units or whatnot. But there's a lot to be said when you interview an A player that could go work at any of your competitors. I think there's a lot to be said with how they're going to be treated, and what they're showing up to work at every day. So I know it's going to be a game changer for us for recruiting, for culture. Not to mention, once again, you were at my old shop, and when we got to the point where we just no longer fit there. I mean, we'd have employees get there in the morning and they're fighting over the last parking spot, or we're doing morning rollout and guys are dang near running into each other leaving the shop every morning. So it was a great facility for us until we just got a little bit too big, and that's a good problem to have. And so now I think with the new place we're in, it's beautiful. I just think that we're gonna up our game that much more. Let me take that back. I said I know we are, man. I know we're gonna crush it next year.
Like you said, just recruiting alone, like you said it yourself, you walk in there with a smile on your face every day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that it makes you
absolutely.
feel so much better to have a nice facility, and your employees probably feel the same way. And that goes for the trucks they use, to the mowers that they use. They want to have nice equipment. They want to have nice trucks. And they got to go back to a shop that they really enjoy. Like, man, I work here. That's what
Yep,
they're looking for. So
yep. I
it's gonna be a
agree.
massive win for recruiting top talent for sure.
I think so, man. And let's be honest, recruiting is that's the game we're all in. I mean, it's funny because I've noticed myself saying that that's the most important thing, on 5 different topics on this conversation. But recruiting, man, it's what I do. I know there's probably guys listening to this call that maybe they use a recruiting
Recruiter. Yeah.
company or whatever, but I'm the recruiter, and I enjoy that. I'm a good people person. I feel like I have good people skills, and I enjoy. I mean, I normally, I've done so many interviews, I can talk to somebody for 5 minutes and know if it's a good fit or not. And I always respect people's times. I mean, I'll do a 20-minute, 30-minute interview with somebody I know is a no, just because I want to hear their story or whatever. But for the most part, I feel like recruiting is a gift that I've got, that I feel like I can talk to somebody, and you just get people comfortable, and a lot of times they just kind of start doing the talking. And another thing I'm very passionate about when I interview people is telling them what getting into or what we are. I think I hear way too many people interview where that, tell me about a time when
Yeah.
this happened at the office and how did you react? I'm not a big fan of that. It's like I want to get to know somebody a little bit, but I also want to tell them, hey, you worked at Subway the last 3 years. That's awesome. Let me tell you a little bit about the lawn care industry. Let me tell you when you show up in the morning, what,
What's the day in the life of a
yeah,
technician?
yeah,
What's the day in the life
what, yeah,
of
what
a
do we
maintenance?
do?
Yep.
And, when it's pouring rain and it's 50 degrees out, what do you guys do then? And, when do we get paid? And, can we stop and get lunch? To me, that's way more important than, tell me about a time when Susie did this to Johnny and how did they react? And, I just, maybe if you're interviewing at a tech company, that's great. But I think when we're casting a net for maybe like an entry level position in the spring or whatever. I just want to know who you are, and I want you to know who we are, man. And that's worked for us, to
For
be
sure.
honest.
How are you getting people in the door?
We are a lot of referrals from our employees, which I think speaks volumes to us as an employer. And then also, we've had pretty good luck on Indeed. I know everybody kind of has their go-to social media. Facebook for us has been zero. ZipRecruiter's been zero. But we have pretty good luck on Indeed. But you got to pay to play. And I know I've talked to a lot of people in our groups, Jonas, that are I'm spending $50 a week on Indeed. Nobody's applying. I mean, we're spending thousands.
Yeah.
So to me, I talk to a lot of people that are spending $10,000 a month on AdWords, and they've got $100 a month recruiting budget. And
Yeah, it's
so
almost like the times have changed. I feel it's easier to get a new client than it is to get an
yeah,
employee. So
yep.
it's that mindset shift of taking your marketing budget and put that marketing budget towards new employees.
We're marketing for employees.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's just the mindset shift that you have to make.
What's that? I'm sorry, dude.
That's just the mindset shift you have to make right now.
Yep.
The
Yep. And
clients are
also,
out there.
we've talked about it a million times in the groups that you and I are in, man. But you have to put as much effort into recruiting as you do client acquisition. I'm passionate about that because as I mentioned earlier in this call, I'm not involved in client acquisition at my company, but you got to have a marketing plan, you got to have a budget, you got to have a system, you got for recruiting, and I talk to way too many guys that piss and moan that nobody wants to work, and they just put no effort into it. I think the guys that are building culture and hiring good people, it's a full-time job, and it's easy to say that, but we do. I mean, I show up to work ready to hire every day, man, and it shows. We've got good people.
And I love that you said that because I've talked about this before, but people will say that the recruiting in the people is the biggest problem that they're having right now.
Everybody.
But they put zero time and zero effort into it. They put an ad out on, like you said, on Facebook, or they put one ad on Indeed and think that, oh, that's all I got to do, wait for people to just show up. That's just not how it works anymore.
Yep.
Like, put effort in. If that's your biggest problem, you should probably spend the most time.
Yep. And you would be amazed, man. It is 9.5 out of 10 when I get an interview into my office and they said that they put out 20 resumes on Indeed, companies that are paying a lot of money to be seen, and nobody called them back. I mean, I hear it all the time. Oh, hey, man, you're actually the only one. And I'm not talking, resumes where nobody wants to call you. I mean, I'm talking good quality candidates where it's like, these companies are spending thousands of dollars on ads, but then they delegated, Susie in the office to reaching out to all the, Indeed applicants, and it just doesn't get done. It happens all the time. And I always just kind of laugh and smile and say, awesome, you're a great person. We'd love to have you join the team. I'm glad the other 20 people didn't call you back.
Absolutely.
We get that a lot, man, and I just find that kind of interesting.
Do you keep an eye on your your competitors, the competition you market? Like, do you spend a lot of attention on them? Do you not really worry about them? Do you kind of just keep an eye on them, see what they're doing? What are your thoughts around that?
Yes and no, man. I love that question. I think me as the owner, I think we all probably do it. You're driving down the road and break your neck looking the other direction when you see the competitor drive by. But, I think I try to keep a really good pulse on who's who and just kind of maybe, what they're doing. Maybe I'll look at equipment or are their trucks all dented up, just little goofy stuff. Maybe if I see them driving around, but really beyond that, I don't, we've done the old competitor quote before where you call and get a bunch of estimates, and that's a gray area because I don't want people doing that to us. We all probably do it, but yeah, answer your question. I mean, kind of 50-50. I think we kind of keep our head on a swivel on who's doing what in our market, but outside of that, I really just kind of focus on us. How can we get better every day? How can we be better than the competition? Coming back to me doing a lot of like the recruiting, I get to hear a lot about guys that worked at competitors or maybe interviewed or whatever, so me being more in that role, I get to talk to a lot of candidates or new hires about, maybe their boss or who they worked for, whatever. Now that I'm not really as much into sales, I don't get as many of I hear about it, but obviously when I was doing a lot of sales in my earlier years, you always had clients that were, oh man, you guys only are charging this and, your competitors are charging that, which was kind of fun. But yeah, I want to keep my head on a swivel. I want to see who's in the market. I want to see who's doing big things and whatnot. But really, I do think there's a lot to be said with just getting good at your own organization and trying to kind of weed out some of the noise. I'm in a market with maybe 500,000, maybe 700,000 if you include like Coeur d'Alene. Your coworker was mentioning Coeur d'Alene, which is pretty much directly connected to us. But we're not huge, but we're getting to be a pretty good sized market. So there's a lot of customers. There's a lot of people that we can recruit in our area. We're not in I think you're in a pretty small town in like your main market, aren't you?
Yeah, very small.
Yeah. So I mean, we're in a good sized area. And, I know branding our trucks. I mean, it's an elementary thing we all talk about in the groups we're in, Jonas, but that's been big for us. I mean, none of our competitors do it, and our trucks are all fully wrapped in green, and they're loud. I mean, we get people that we see you guys everywhere, and it's like, well, do you, or did you see the same truck 10 times in your neighborhood? But it's awesome, man. It's a game changer. So I think some of those little things can really kind of pop you out in the crowd too.
For sure, yeah. I love that you brought that up because not everyone that's listening to this has branded trucks.
No.
But you said it's elementary. Like we know because we learned from day one. Like, yeah, just wrap your vehicles. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but you have so many people that are just going to see that one truck 10 times that they think you have 100 trucks.
Yeah, it's been huge for us, and I won't tell my secret. No, I mean it's like $1,000. I mean it's inexpensive to do, and
yeah.
I joke around not telling my secret. It's like we paint them and we wrap them and wash them. That's my secret. And but we have competitors in our market that have $10 million lawn care businesses. And I just think our uniformed guys, our trucks, we just look official. So I think there's a lot to be said with just being, separating yourself from chucking a truck. It really it's been a huge thing for us for not only client acquisition, but just building a brand, really. I think every market probably has a company or two where if you said, hey, pest control or lawn mowing or tree trimming, you're 8 out of 10 homeowners, oh, we use Orkin or we use whatever. But, I think as you kind of start doing some of those little things, it can really add up to just having a recognizable brand. And that's huge, man.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. I have one last question for you.
Sure.
If you were to start it all over, what would you do different?
Industry wise, I mean, like what hone in on that a pinch or just whatever.
Let's stay to the industry.
Yeah.
What would you have done different in the earlier days of the business? Or what would you have changed earlier?
Well, I mean, that's an awesome question. I mean, I feel like what I'm kind of doing now would be to answer your question where we're really kind of simplifying things. That'd be my answer, man. Even just shotgun out of a cannon here when you get first asked, I'm like, oh no, but it would be simplifying it, man. It really would. And I still talk to people now that, and I'm not saying we're above them by any means, but that they're pressure washing and they're cleaning pools and they're doing gutters and washing the windows and mowing the lawn and spraying this, and I've been there, man. I think a lot of us have been when we start out,
because you're just trying to generate revenue to keep your head above the water. So you're just doing whatever you possibly can to stay busy, right? But at some point, you got to look at what you're really making money on. And you brought up a bunch of times, know your numbers and just know what gives you the most profitable service and just run with that.
Yep. So that definitely, man, that would be my answer, is just find a service or 3 services that you can get really good at. You can market them, you can sell them, you can produce them, you can have happy clients, and just do that. And that would definitely be my answer. And like I said, I'm heading for 20 years in business and I'm about ready to let go of irrigation. It's like, I think as I look at my business, it's like, I just want to offer a few things and I want to be the best in our market, and end of story. I'll leave it right there. It's like, I want to be good and I want to scale it. That's where I'm at, man. So my advice is, don't try to offer a million different services, because it just gets crazy, and we've all been there, man. I know you had a lawn care business. You gotta just hone your craft and stick to your guns at what you're good at.
That's awesome. I love that answer. And I would agree with you 100%. And I also know, Josh, you're already doing big things. And over the next few years, it's going to be even bigger and better and fun to watch, because you're just the way you're thinking now. It's going to go fast once you scale back and scale back forward. I appreciate you being here. You're an absolute stud. I can't wait to be with you soon.
Awesome, brother. Hey, thank you for the opportunity to be here, man. You've got some awesome things going. You've got all kinds of stuff going, man. You're a stud as well, and thanks for the opportunity to be here, man. Hope all is well, and I know you and I always stay in touch, man. Look forward to the next time we chat.
Sounds good. See you.
All right, thanks, dude.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pest Control Millionaire. If you are not already subscribed, we would really like if you did that. And please leave us a glowing review on iTunes. For the first 8 weeks that we have this show launched, we are going to give away a $50 Amazon gift card every week to a random person who gives us a nice review on iTunes. That's how important it is to us. Also, we want you to be involved with the show. Please send any questions you have about entrepreneurship, how to grow your business, anything about the service industry, to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. We will answer them on the show. We have the best guests in the service industry, so why not get their take on your problems? Thanks for listening again, and we'll see you in the next one.